stepping into the Zoom. Big love, bold words. It's the elephant in the room.
Before we jumped on air today, we spoke about the Jane Fonda TED Talk of the third act that I shared with you this morning. That she's just a powerhouse, and I'm just so excited to look at this last third act in such a. And I recommend people go and have a look. I'll actually put the link in the show notes. But just. And I think you've summed up authenticity in a holistic way, because often people can act like idiots and they say, well, this is authentically me, like suck it up, this is how I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, no, actually that's not authentically you. Authentically, you're a beautiful whole soul that has come here to spread light and love. And I guess you could have said, well, I have a speech impediment, this is me, this is authentically me. But for you to have been given the grace and the wherewithal to go, actually, no, that's not me. I'm somebody that is confident and whole. Yeah. So I did some deep diving on you. I must say that I was very nervous about AI when it first came out, and I did see it affect my business. And then I thought, well, I'm going to not allow it to affect my business. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, and I'm going to make friends with AI. And the AI bot or journey that I use or app that I use is Gemini. I'm sure I'll use the others when time comes, but I don't want to confuse myself too much. And I asked, what is the elephant in the room in Bruce Wade's professional philosophy is the massive disconnect between ideation and execution. He points out that many business leaders hold brilliant strategy workshops only for those ideas to be abandoned when daily operations take over, which renders the initial ideas entirely useless. To solve this, Wade focuses on two core frameworks, MOT being moments of truth and AQ being agent quotient. I'd love to hear more about that.
So I think one of the things, so if you look at my journey, it's been very much EQ. Who am I? What is my relationship with me, myself, and I, and then with those three people and other people, and how do we do that? So I've spent a lot, I'm very happy alone, okay? I get energy from being alone, but I also get energy from being in a group of people. But sometimes loneliness is unbearable, and sometimes being in a room full of people is very unbearable for me. So I'm kind of that, in between extrovert, introvert, omnivert, whatever you want to call it with that. But the extremes, loud noise, groups of people, and I'm like out of there pretending I'm smoking out on the balcony, or when I'm alone, I need to speak to somebody. So with that, so my EQ journey has been really good. And I read the EQ book when it first came out. I was one of the first people that kind of bought it. I looked at this thing, that was probably 30 years ago. And I dived into that and I thought, suddenly somebody has got maths, because maths is another cornerstone of my life. It's got to be mathematically correct. And EQ is actually a mathematical expression of our relationships with human beings. And it worked beautifully for me, and we can then play around with it. So I loved that. And then when this AI stuff came out, I dive into any new technology. I'm the guy like 3:00 in the morning downloading the software as it's been rolled out. And it's just really interesting there. So AI was the stuff I dived into when it was really chunky and really terrible. And I started speaking about it. People shouted and screamed how bad this was. And, oh, look how terrible it is. And, making mistakes and this. And we're going, well, wait until this afternoon and won't make those mistakes anymore. And how about you? When are you going to learn yours? And we've seen that evolution of it. But one thing as well, I've seen the world separate. There's been those people who have played with AI and use AI in the front end. So they use they use the Claude and the Gemini and ChatGPT is front ends, and there's a fair amount of those, even though there's still like 2% of the world are only on there. And then above there, you get the smaller people who have actually paid for AI and using it more, kind of invested. And then you get the layer above that people are using agents. And then above that, the people are actually programming with us. And then the people above that that are actually defining the bots and creating things that, so you get bots that are running agents that are doing your AI for you, which are doing your automation. So there's a number of things with that. And I found out that a lot of this was very diverse. And in your little blurb, there's one of my big things is, why do people have ideas and then abandon those ideas? Why do people have brilliant ideas in the shower or at 3 o'clock in the morning or while sitting in traffic, and many of those ideas just never get through the ideation phase? So I went out and I created this I5 framework, which defines the evolution of an idea from what if to final product, and put that into there. And then I also then realized that there was this massive gap between humans and automation and AI. And so I started playing around with this, and I sat down. I spent a lot of time in conversation with a number of bots that simultaneously. So I get the bots to speak to other bots and platforms, and I'm in the so I'm having like a panel discussion, and we came up with this thing. And I kept on asking, what is the relationship between humans and AI? And it was saying it's undefined. Nobody's gone there. So I said, well, let's go there. And over the course of many hours and a lot of research and a lot of writing, I've developed this thing called AQ, which is agent quotient, your intelligence to be able to work with AI. And it's not just a personal thing, but it's like EQ. So you have EQ personally, EQ teams, EQ companies, EQ, groups of people. And the same thing with AQ is that I can be very good, but I can introduce AQ into my team, and 3/4 of the people will go, nah, don't trust it. No, don't like it. Oh, no, it's going to take my job. And we've got all those fears. So AQ defines the relationship between human and bot, but also between bot and human. So I've dived into both sides because we need to be more equipped to work with AI. It's not just something that you naturally go into. Some people can walk into a crowded room being a stranger, and in 5 minutes they found out who went to school with who and who's married to their second cousin, third removed, and those people with those high woo kind of EQ skills. AQ is exactly the same. I've got a very high AQ skill because I go to technology very easily. For some people, it's a huge thing, but also people developing bots and AI need to be aware of what AQ is there, because you can build into your AI systems human-friendly, human-centric, human-sensitive issues and stuff. So all our stuff that we create in my little company called M37 develops their bots with a personality. And they've got a backstory, they've got a stuff, they understand, they have empathy. Now, a lot of people go, oh, how can an algorithm have empathy? Well, our bots have empathy. We've got bots that teach high school students maths. And boy, do you need empathy for someone who doesn't understand maths. If you want to understand quadratic equations, you need a huge amount of empathy coming from your teacher. And our maths bots have empathy. They have understanding. They have a understanding of escalation of emotions and all that. And that builds that AQ, because the better the bot is at being with their AQ, the easier it is to be able to adopt, and not just all human needs to change to think like a computer. No, the bots need to think like humans to bridge that gap as well. So that's kind of AQ in a nutshell. I've got 2,500 pages of books that I've created on that. I've created codes that people can copy and paste into various things to build that empathy and to do that. But mostly I've summarized it down into a smaller book now called the AQ Leader, which is aimed at somebody in management implementing AI and going like, how do I get my team, my customers, my company, my, people to adopt and keep this AI, and it doesn't need to be a full AI project, it can just be AI related project, and see it through to the end through implementation, because people just do not trust. You can empower a doctor with a whole AI diagnosis and he'll use it, and then he'll do his personal diagnosis just to check. So he's doubling his work. And it's the same way with insurance. People will do, oh, we got this automatic assessment that assesses insurance, but I'm going to do mine anyway just to check it. Well, you do that because you don't trust. It's like a manager redoing the work of all their subordinates because he doesn't trust the people that work for them. And it's just one of those things. We'll get there. It's early days. It's only like 3.5 years old. 10 years from now will be, life would be very, very different. And I can't wait to order an Uber driverless car that comes to my house by pressing some buttons on my wrist. But we're not that far away to let AI actually engulf us in a good way. And I think that's something there we can do that. So, yeah, it's a really interesting journey.
Stepping into the Zoom. Big love, bold words. It's the elephant in the room. Big love, bold words. It's the elephant in the room.